Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Charts with Dan. Don't check your calendars. It is Monday. I'm doing the show a day early, which means we have to use the dreaded estimates, and it's because I'm on the road today so that I can check out The Running Man a little early, partially because I want to get you an early review before the movie comes out, and partially because I just love Edgar Wright and want to see his new movie as soon as possible. So we're going to go through the box office numbers as we have them right now. The final numbers will be out later today. If there are any major corrections, we'll make them next week. But unlike last week, I don't think that there's going to be any change as to the movie at number one this past weekend, because it was Predator Badlands. It had one of those weekends where the number kept going up as the weekend went on. Audience response was strong, critical response was pretty good, and it came in with an estimated number of $40 million. I wouldn't be shocked if it was a little above that number, unless Disney overestimated it based on the weekend trajectory. And we will look at how that stacks up against the other Predator movies in just a second. In second place was Regretting You, which dropped less than 10% in its third week. It's not putting up huge numbers, but it's holding well week to week. It came in at $7.1 million estimated. It's close to $40 million domestic. Black Phone 2 is also continuing to hold well, even after the Halloween window is closed. It dropped off 36.3% in its fourth week for another $5.3 million. In fourth place was Sarah's Oil, which debuts with $4.4 million. It was the sixth film released this year to get an A-plus cinema score, which means that opening night audiences were very happy. The last two movies to get an A-plus were the Taylor Swift Release Party and Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. And then rounding out the top five was Nuremberg, which came in with $4 million. Again, we'll see if that changes when the final numbers come in. And let's take a look at the Predator franchise now that we have a new theatrical entry. Now, these charts, of course, don't include the two streaming entries, Prey and Predator Killer of Killers. And if this estimate holds, and Disney would have really had to have overestimated it for it to fall to second place, then Predator Badlands is the top opening in franchise history, just ahead of the $38.2 million posted by Alien vs. Predator about 20 years or so ago. In third place was Predators, then The Predator, then Predator. This is a very strange naming convention when it comes to this franchise, and they're not in the order you think that they would be in. So Predators came in at $24.7 million, The Predator came in at $24.6 million, and then the original Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator came in at just over $12 million. Aliens vs. Predator Requiem comes in sixth place with just over $10 million, but that movie opened on a Tuesday. It was a Christmas release, so it had 3 days basically of release before it even hit its opening weekend. That number would have been higher if it opened on Friday. And then Predator 2 comes in last place at $8.7 million, although it too was a holiday release. It opened on Thanksgiving week, so it opened on Wednesday and had 2 full days of release before its official opening weekend. But because it's me and you know this show, you know, of course, I'm also going to look at this adjusted for inflation. And when you adjust those figures for inflation, Alien vs. Predator comes out on top at a $67.2 million opening weekend, followed by Predator Badlands just ahead of Predators at $37.1 million. The original Predator comes in at $34.3 million for its opening weekend, adjusted for inflation, with The Predator coming in fifth place at $31.4 million. Predator 2's opening weekend coming in at $21.7 million, again, given the fact that it opened on a Wednesday. And then Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, with its Tuesday opening, comes in at $15.9 million. And when you look at the overall Predator franchise, as far as domestic gross goes, Predator Badlands is already in sixth place. It's past Predator 2, and it's right behind Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. And really, if the movie can just double its opening weekend, which given the response that we've seen, seems like it's very likely that it could very well be the highest grossing film domestically in the Predator franchise. Again, adjusted for inflation, Predator Badlands is currently in seventh place, with The Predator in sixth place at $65.1 million, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem at $66.1 million, Predator 2 at $70.1 million, Predators at $77.9 million. Alien vs. Predator comes in second place on this list at $141 million, and the original Arnold Schwarzenegger film is able to rule the roost when you adjust for inflation at $170.3 million. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the top 10. In sixth place was Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze Arc, which dropped 42.1% for a $3.6 million weekend. Its domestic total now right around $38 million. Bugonia held well in its second weekend in wide release, its third weekend overall. It dropped just 30.4% and brought in $3.5 million. Die, My Love comes in eighth place. I saw this movie. This is not necessarily what you would call a wide audience movie, but Mubi, the distributor of the film, put it in wide release and it brought in $2.8 million. I think it's somehow even less mainstream than The Substance was last year. And if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. Die, My Love also got a D+ cinema score. And the D+ score specifically kind of has an interesting lineage. There are a lot of movies, really bad movies, that have gotten a D+ cinema score, but there are also some movies that have been reevaluated over time or were definitely not what the audience was expecting. I'm talking about movies like Event Horizon, Punch Drunk Love, which saw a bunch of Adam Sandler fans show up to a P.T. Anderson film, and my beloved Hereditary, which also got a D+ cinema score. So I think when you put Robert Pattinson, Jennifer Lawrence in a movie together, there might be a certain audience expectation, especially a wide release. Maybe not everybody knows who Lynn Ramsey is or what kind of movies she makes. I think that was definitely at play with that score. It wasn't one of my favorite movies of the year, but I wouldn't say it was a D+ movie. That, again, is a measurement of what cinema score is actually there to give us information about, which was audience expectation versus reality. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, comes in ninth place with $2.2 million. It's just now crawling over the $20 million mark domestically. Again, a disappointment given the high profile, the budget, etc. And Tron Ares hangs on at number 10 with $1.8 million in its fifth week of release. Its domestic total now at $71.2 million. There was a movie that opened outside of the top 10, and that is the Sydney Sweeney boxing biopic Christie. And it was actually one of the worst openings ever for a film in 2,000 or more theaters. Now, this is if you exclude re-releases or movies that had already been released on streaming. You can see it's the eighth worst opening weekend for a movie in 2,000 or more theaters. It comes wedged right between Hit Pig, which actually opened this time last year at $1.15 million, so a little bit of a worse opening than we saw with Christie, and The Empty Man, which opened in October of 2020 when not a lot of people were going to the movies. Gem and the Holograms rounds out the top 10. I actually saw that movie opening weekend with Nick Mundy back in the Screen Junkies days. Don't ask why. I don't even remember. It was something for the show. Who knows? The Broken Hearts Gallery is in sixth place. Profile is in fifth place. The King's Daughter in fourth place. Playmobil the Movie is in third place. Delgo is in second place. And the all-time worst opening for a movie in 2,000 or more theaters was the 2012 film The Oogie Loves in the Big Balloon Adventure, which opened to less than $500,000 in 2,160 theaters. I have a friend, strangely, who saw that movie opening weekend. He did not, as I recall, go with kids. He just happened to be partaking in a substance that he thought might enhance the Oogie Loves Big Balloon Adventure. I don't recall if he liked the movie or not. I'm guessing he probably did. Dropping out of the top 10 this past weekend, we have four movies. Good Fortune is out after 3 weeks. Back to the Future, the 40th anniversary re-release, is out after 1 week. Stitchhead is out after 1 week. And then K-Pop Demon Hunters, the sing-along limited release event, is over. It's also out after 1 week. I neglected to mention last week, by the way, that One Battle After Another exited the top 10. Just a bit of a mix-up in the paperwork, the old charts paperwork on my part. Looking at the biggest theater count changes for this past weekend, Chris Stuckman's film Shelby Oaks lost the vast majority of its theaters after a 2-week run. It lost 1,508 of them and remained in 200 theaters. Good Fortune also lost the majority of its theaters. It lost 1,404 theaters to remain in 746. Deliver Me From Nowhere lost a big chunk of theaters, 1,260. It's now in 2,200. Roofman lost over half of its remaining theaters, 945 of them. It's now out of wide release in 545 theaters. And the Back to the Future 40th anniversary release lost 934 theaters, although about 1,300 theaters chose to keep it around for a second weekend. All right, this is my poorly named Road to Recovery, which shows how this year compares to the 5 years preceding the pandemic and also every year after it. The blue line is the box office weekend average for 2015 to 2019. The red line is the average from 2021 through 2024. And well, the good news is we did better than last weekend, although it'd be hard to do a whole lot worse. The bad news is we're still well below both the post-pandemic and pre-pandemic average when it comes to ticket sales. So a lot of work to do there. But if there is a silver lining to this past weekend, obviously Predator Badlands having its nice debut is one of them. And the other one is that we did outgross the first weekend of November from 2024 last year. And that was actually the subject of my member poll question last week. I asked the audience if they thought that this year's November box office would match or exceed last year's, which came in at $900.7 million. And I was actually surprised at the number of people who said yes, they do believe that this November's box office will be better than last November's. 58% said yes, 42% said no, and we have gotten off to a good start. We have done better in the first weekend than we did last year in the first week of November, and we'll see if this weekend's upcoming releases can keep that streak going. These were the top per theater averages this past weekend. At number one was Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value, which is considered an Oscar contender in a lot of categories, including several acting categories, as well as Best Picture. It played in 4 theaters and had an average right now estimated of $50,000 per theater. We'll get that final number later today. I also got a chance to see this one, and I think I'm actually going to do a review for it later this week, because this movie really captured me on a level that I haven't experienced in a while, and I'd like to talk about it here on the channel. Plus, I think it's going to be very relevant as we get closer and closer to the Oscars and other awards. In second place was Peter Hujar's Day in 4 theaters. It played to $11,775 per theater. Then we had Predator Badlands bringing in $10,738 per theater in over 3,700 theaters. Natchez, it playing in just 1 theater, brought in $9,000 in that theater. And Nuremberg, which was the number 5 movie at the box office, also had the 5th best per theater average according to the early results, bringing in just over $2,300 per theater in 1,800 theaters. And as of now, Sentimental Value has the 4th best per theater number of the year thus far, ahead of Love, Brooklyn. We'll see if that number goes up or down once final numbers come in. It currently comes in behind Friendship, which opened in 6 theaters back in May, the documentary The Encampment, which played in 1 theater back in March, and Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme, which opened in 6 theaters at the end of May and still has easily the best mark of the year at $93,000 per theater. These were the top films in limited release, which I define as 1,000 theaters or fewer. At number 1 was the live presentation of La Boheme from the Metropolitan Opera. It brought in over $1 million in 714 theaters. Despite playing in just 4 theaters, Sentimental Value comes in second place with an estimated number of $200,000. It Was Just an Accident comes in third place, expanding to 119 theaters with $192,000. Richard Linklater's Blue Moon comes in fourth with $141,000 and 115 theaters. And If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You brought in $60,000 in 112 theaters. I saw that theater count contracting, so it seems like that movie's gone as wide as it can, which is disappointing because it never made it to a theater near me. We've got a lot more to get to, but before we do, I want to thank Mando, who is the sponsor for this episode. We're coming up on the holidays, and for a lot of people, that means a season full of cold temps and cold sweats. Whether it's meeting your significant other's parents for the first time or trying to avoid eye contact when your uncle brings up politics, you never know when you're going to go from cozy to sweaty. Luckily, Mando is here, the deodorant that stops odor before it starts, and you have 3 options to choose from. Invisible spray for easy, quick application, solid stick for that traditional deodorant experience, and invisible cream for those hard-to-reach areas. Personally, I'm a spray and stick combo guy. Mando's not just for under your arms, it is safe to use anywhere on your body, and it's powerful enough to fight the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to apply wherever you want. You know where I'm talking about. I am an everyday Mando user. I think last time I did one of these, I showed you my Mando drawer in my bathroom, and I'm actually glad that Mando keeps me well stocked because I am a sweater, especially in a sweater. And I don't want to have to worry about whether my BO is mixing in with the smell of the pumpkin pie. Just let that holiday freshness come through. With Mando, I could climb into the oven with the turkey and still come out smelling great, and also lightly basted. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers or those of you who are looking for some nice stocking stuffers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for fans of the show, new customers get 20% off site-wide with my exclusive code. Use code DAN at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. That's shopmando.com. Please support the show and tell them that I sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. You can say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. Don't let the meat sweats get you this holiday season. Your family and friends will thank you. All right, that's what's going on at the domestic box office. Let's take a look around the world now. This is the international box office, which is every market outside of the US and Canada. And Predator Badlands right now matched its domestic debut with a $40 million international debut, which is pretty good, especially because this was not a mega budget movie. It wasn't a small budget film, but not a mega budget film. Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze Arc, dropped about 50% and brought in another $6.3 million internationally. Regretting You comes in third place with $5.7 million. In fourth place is Jujutsu Kaisen Execution, which is a compilation movie. It has some material from the previous season of the animated show, and I believe it incorporates the first couple of episodes from the next season. That brought in just over $5 million. And Black Phone 2 rounds out the top 5 at $3.9 million, dropping 45.6% over last weekend in international markets. When you take those international numbers, you combine them with our domestic numbers, we get the top 5 films worldwide, and Predator Badlands is the #1 movie in the world with $80 million. Regretting You comes in second place. It's held well internationally and domestically at $12.8 million. Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze Arc, comes in third place with $9.9 million. Its worldwide total is now over $150 million. Black Phone 2 comes in at $9.2 million. Its worldwide gross now at over $120 million. And Bugonia comes in fifth place with another $7 million. Its global total now $23.1 million. And let's take a look at the Predator franchise by worldwide gross. Currently, Predator Badlands is the head of the $54.7 million that Predator 2 brought in around the world, and behind the $98.2 million that the original Predator brought in around the world. Of course, it was a much different market. That's why you see the more recent Predator/Alien vs. Predator films in the top 4 there. The highest grossing Predator film of all time is Alien vs. Predator at $172.5 million, and much like its domestic debut, if Predator Badlands can double its global opening, then it has a good shot of becoming the highest grossing Predator film of all time. The Predator made $159.4 million, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem made $128.8 million, and Predators made $127.2 million. So Predator Badlands, the #1 movie in the world, that's a sequel to a film that originally starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we have The Running Man opening this weekend. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger also starred in the first movie adaptation of that film. And that brings us to our Charts with Dan trivia question for this week. The question is, how many movies or franchises that originally starred Arnold Schwarzenegger have theatrically released remakes or sequels in which he does not appear? It doesn't necessarily have to be a remake of the original movie. For example, The Running Man is not a remake of the Schwarzenegger film, but it is a remake of the story. So a movie or franchise that originally starred Arnold Schwarzenegger from the first film, he could have just been in that first film. How many of them have had remakes or sequels in which he does not appear? I'll give you a second to think about it. And the answer is, according to my count, 6. Conan the Barbarian, which had a remake several years ago. Predator, of course, all of the sequels have lacked Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Running Man, which hits theaters this weekend. Red Sonja, which Arnold Schwarzenegger starred in. There was a theatrically released, although not very widely released, Red Sonja remake, I believe earlier this year. Total Recall, of course, one of the most infamous remakes of all time, did not have Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then The Expendables. He was in 3 of the films, however, he was not in the 4th Expendables film, which makes it eligible for this list. This version of The Running Man, though, is said to be much more of an adaptation of the Stephen King original story, and that brings us to our member poll question for today. That's right, I gave the answer earlier, but I didn't forget to ask a new one. What film adaptation of a Stephen King novel or novella is your favorite? There's lots of contenders here, lots of really good movies. Leave your answer, your favorite adaptation, in the comments of the member poll question on YouTube. If your favorite's already there, please upvote it instead of answering it again. It helps me to tabulate the results. And the top 5 or 6 will be revealed right here on next week's Charts with Dan. Wrapping up our box office numbers, this is the 2025 fall holiday box office. So this is all movies released domestically after Labor Day. The Conjuring Last Rites remains number one, with Demon Slayer Infinity Castle currently the only two $100+ million grossers of the fall holiday box office season. Tron Ares right now is number 3, but Black Phone 2 is moving up quickly. It's up 1 spot to number 4. One Battle After Another moves down 1 spot to number 5. Downton Abbey, the grand finale for now, is at number 6, but we have 2 new entrants. We have Predator Badlands at number 7 and Regretting You at number 8. Chainsaw Man the movie moves up 1 spot to number 9. The Long Walk moves down 3 spots to number 10. That's another Stephen King adaptation. And dropping off of the list are the Taylor Swift Release Party and Gabby's Dollhouse the movie. And that's what's going on at the box office. Let's check out the world of streaming, and we'll start with the latest numbers from Netflix. This covers the week of October 27th to November 2nd. And staying at number 1 is Catherine Bigelow's film A House of Dynamite, which had a strong second week, bringing in 31.58 million views. Moving back up to second place, I think it didn't make the charts the first week it was released, but I think ever since, K-Pop Demon Hunters has been in the top 3 on the Netflix charts every single week, and it's been months now. K-Pop Demon Hunters brought in 13.98 million views in second place. The Asset Season 1, a Netflix original series, debuted in third place with 11.27 million views. Eileen, Queen of the Serial Killers, which is a look at Eileen Wuornos, it was a documentary, brought in 10.1 million views in fourth place. Then we have Nobody Wants This Season 2 with 9.43 million views in fifth place. The Witcher Season 4 debuts at number 6 with 7.41 million views. We'll see if those numbers go up as we enter the Hemsworth era. Ballad of a Small Player, starring Colin Farrell, comes in 7th place at 6.93 million views. That's a debut for that film. The Elixir comes in at number 8. Rulers of Fortune Season 1 debuts at number 9 with 5.31 million views. And Physical Asia, which I believe is a spinoff of Physical 100, debuts at number 10 at 5.23 million views. Let's take a look now at the latest numbers from Nielsen. Now, unlike the Netflix numbers, these are domestic only. They're not global, and they're delayed by about a month. So this covers the week of October 6th through the 12th. And K-Pop Demon Hunters is the number 1 streaming movie for that week at 13.46 million hours watched. The Woman in Cabin 10 debuts in second place at just over 8 million hours watched. Play Dirty on Amazon drops down to third place at 6.3 million hours watched. Then we have the debut of How to Train Your Dragon 2025, which was available on Peacock. It came in fourth at 5.76 million hours watched. The Maze Runner comes in fifth place at 4.5 million hours watched on Netflix. Despicable Me 3 returns to the chart at 4.4 million hours watched. Then we have About My Father at number 7. The Netflix original film from Brazil, I believe, Caramello, comes in at number 8 at 4.1 million hours watched. Then we have Maze Runner The Scorch Trials at 3.91 million hours watched. You'll never survive a day in the scorch. And at number 10 is My Father, the BTK Killer on Netflix at 3.6 million hours watched. These were the most watched streaming shows for October 6th to the 12th. At number 1 was Monster, the Ed Gein story, which had a big second week at 38.46 million hours watched. Love is Blind on Netflix comes in a distant second place at 18.5 million. Then we have NCIS in third, SpongeBob SquarePants in fourth, Law and Order in fifth, Bluey slipping down to sixth place. Grey's Anatomy returning to the charts at number 7, Bob's Burgers at number 8, Law & Order SVU at number 9, so the 2 sister shows sharing spots in the top 10, and Family Guy on Hulu at number 10. And looking at the top shows as far as watch time per available episode, so you take the total number of hours watched, you divide it by the number of episodes you can watch, that's how you get to this number. Monster, the Ed Gein story dominates this chart as well with 4.81 million hours watched per episode. Is It Cake Halloween comes in second place at 2.13 million hours per episode. The Netflix original series Wayward comes in third at just over 1 million hours per episode. Then we have the Netflix series Boots at 900,000 hours per episode. This one stirred up some controversy, or some controversy was thrown onto it as time went on, so we'll see if this number goes up over time. Halo, which made its way over to Netflix. There are no new episodes. It originally aired on Paramount Plus, but it's done well on Netflix. Comes in 5th place with over 500,000 hours watched per episode. And then we have Wednesday still hanging around the top 10. Peacemaker, as it makes its way through its 2nd season, comes in 7th place at 414,000 hours per episode. Then we have Tulsa King at number 8, Love is Blind at number 9, and Bluey rounding out the top 10. And those are all the numbers I have for you. But before I go, I just wanted to draw your attention to some things that I think might interest you, both in theaters and at home this upcoming week. First of all, tomorrow on Tuesday, a couple of recent releases will be available to rent and also purchase for home viewing. Roofman will be available for digital purchase and premium video on demand, as will Shelby Oaks. So if you didn't catch either of those movies in theaters, you can watch them at home starting tomorrow. On Wednesday, a new documentary debuts on Netflix called Being Eddie. It's a documentary about Eddie Murphy with his participation, and the director is 2-time Best Editing Oscar winner Angus Wall, who worked very closely with David Fincher and won for editing a couple of his movies. And on Wednesday, Freakier Friday makes its debut on Disney+. So if you didn't see it in theaters, you can catch it on Disney+. Then this upcoming weekend, there's a pretty robust schedule of movies that are hitting theaters. We have Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Way too late on trying to do that title. The time for that was the second movie, but it will be in theaters around the world and around the country. The Running Man, as I mentioned, will also be hitting theaters this upcoming weekend. Osgood Perkins has a new film called Keeper. It's his 3rd film in less than 18 months. It will be hitting theaters this upcoming weekend. And in anticipation of Wicked for Good, the original film, Wicked, if you didn't see it last year in theaters or if you just want to see it again, will have a nationwide re-release this upcoming weekend. In limited release this weekend, we have The Carpenter's Son, which is a horror take on the story of Jesus with Noah Jupe as Jesus, Nicolas Cage as Joseph, and FKA Twigs as Mary, or the equivalents in the story that they're telling. That sounds interesting. Also, in a very limited number of theaters is the movie Jay Kelly. This has been getting a lot of awards buzz. It hits Netflix on December 5th. It stars George Clooney as an aging star and Adam Sandler as his manager. It was directed and co-written by Noah Baumbach. Also in limited release this upcoming weekend, Neon is distributing it, is a French animated film called Arco, which I believe won Best Picture at the Annecy Animation Festival. It's about a young boy who travels back through time, and the English dubbed cast, which you will see, I think, in many or all theaters, includes Will Ferrell, Natalie Portman, and Mark Ruffalo. There is some buzz around this for inclusion in the Best Animated Feature race at the Oscars and elsewhere. An animated film hitting Netflix on Friday is called In Your Dreams. It's from 2 Pixar veterans, Eric Benson and Alexander Wu, and it's about kids who travel into their own dreams. Also hitting Netflix this upcoming weekend is Richard Linklater's Nouvelle Vague, which is a look at the making of Breathless. That one was in very limited release for a couple of weeks, but you can now watch it at home, especially for you film geeks out there that would be interested in a story about the making of Breathless done in the style of Breathless. Eddington will be available on HBO Max this Friday, so if you didn't catch it in theaters, and not many people did, you can see it then. And Nobody 2 is available on Peacock this upcoming Friday. Then on Sunday, we have the premiere of Season 2 of Landman on Paramount Plus. And next Monday, a week from today, Gabby's Dollhouse, fresh off of its theatrical hit, will be releasing Season 12 on Netflix. And that's all I've got for you this week. As I mentioned, stay tuned right here. I don't know what the embargo is on The Running Man, but if it's tomorrow, then you can catch my review of The Running Man tomorrow. As I mentioned, Sentimental Value is a movie that I want to talk about. I've got my live show still on the schedule for Wednesday afternoon, and I'm going to try to catch at least 1 or 2 of these new releases hitting theaters. Things get very hectic and very busy as we get to the end of the year because there are a lot of awards movies to watch and a lot of videos to make, but it's also one of the more fun parts of the year. So if you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when I upload a new video. Be sure to also vote in that member poll if you're a member here on the channel. If you're not, check out the description below. You can figure out how to become a member. But most of all, thank you for spending part of your day watching this video. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.